All right, kids, welcome back. Dominick is out here in the Chicago area. This is Cop Talk Live. Changing Cop Culture is brought to you by Spreely TV and Spreely.com. The purpose of this, the point of this, it's an interact. It's a live podcast I do Thursday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 8 Mountain, 7 Pacific for those of you who are too just effing lazy to go over and check it out on your damn Google. And I don't have a format yet. What I want to do is, this is the second or third live I've done. I want to interact with you guys. I have a phone that's open. If you are watching or listening live, 708-982-0974. I want to take an opportunity to look at some of the comments that you guys put on my short form content and answer them more directly. I don't think it's not really justified to either the cop or the scenario when I do short form and it's a less than 60-second video, and then people automatically think from my tone, my viewpoint, that I'm either 100% bootlicking pro-cop or I'm anti-cop and all this shit, and it's just not. So I want to interact more. There's a chat open. Charles Bronson, what's up? Sarah Nichols, how are you guys? Charles, of course I dress for the occasion. Always. It's a uniform. Same thing. When I was on duty, it was always a tie and a vest carrier cover earlier as well, too. All right, a couple different things. Let's do some housekeeping. So this is Thursday nights, like I said, 10 p.m. Eastern. You can catch me live Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, on the Rants of Izzo show on Spreely TV. To get all the good stuff Spreely has to offer, it's Spreely. It means speak freely. You know, a lot of places, the current platform that you're watching on as well too, I don't care what they say, they're not free speech. Spreely is it's full free speech. It's speak freely. Spreely, it's a condensed word, right? They have a social media platform that's a little bit like Facebook. They have Spreely Video, which is kind of like whatever other platform you're watching on. They have live shows like the Shannon Joy Show, the Dumb Show, Don't Unfriend Me Show, the Burn Pit Podcast, Report and Opine, Evening Rants. I know I'm missing some. There's a ton of stuff on there, which is fantastic. It's not 100% pure conservative. It's libertarian. It's independent. Yeah, liberal may slip in every now and then, and we don't really censor anybody from their speech, but doesn't mean we're not going to make fun of you. So it's as simple as that. But yeah, what I want to do is, that's where I talk about everything from porn to politics. Thursday night, it's simply about law enforcement stuff, and I want to change the culture of policing and the wonderful hate I get from people. Yeah, I want to let me see over here, having fun yet, what's going on? Allie Gilbert, how are you? Allie Gilbert, the queen of men's health. I will publicly announce this. If you guys are not looking at Silverback coaching, Allie Gilbert, I actually turned over my dietary and nutrition needs for the powerlifting I'm going to be doing. So I will fully endorse her. You can look at the Allie Gilbert, A-L-I, Gilbert, over on Instagram and check out the Silverback Summit she's doing. Amy Elizabeth 71, Spreely is awesome. We know this. I appreciate that. All right, got to get into it because I don't want to, we're just going to get into it. I want to take a look at some of the stuff that I've been posting, and I want to answer your questions. Let me look at, there's this one. I got to look at this one really quickly. I did put this up a couple days ago, and I'm pulling up from my Officer Dominick Izzo page on YouTube, and I'm just going to play. I'm going to say this. This is a video where it kind of poses the question, because I did a follow-up live on Monday after posting this, because people don't know. They don't know if I'm anti-cop or pro-cop. This is apparently, I have no idea who this guy is because I never watched Cops. Never watched it. I don't watch Live PD, never watched Cops. I'm not somebody who came home after doing the job and then threw on Chicago PD or what were the other ones that are out there? Shit, Blue Bloods or what are the Sirens? I think Sirens was one I did watch back in the day. Yafet Koto was in that? Yeah, that's the one where the little girl was murdered in the first series, and the detective never found it. But there was a guy. I watched that one maybe, but cop shows are nothing like The Job was, and a lot of people. I have a love-hate relationship with people who are like the bootlicking trolls, because anytime you back the blue or you do a back the blue statement for some strange reason, and I'll attack you, uneducated public, you're kind of fucking dumb. because it blows me away when you talk about law enforcement. The public seems to think in a general sense that the police, the real police, are NYPD, Chicago police, LA County Sheriff, Los Angeles Police Department. That's it. That's it. Fuck all the suburban cop of all over the world, right? Which is a majority of law enforcement. That kills me. Anytime somebody criticizes me, who happens to be either a retired cop, a bootlicker, current cop, or whatever, it blows me away how they insult themselves. We're like, well, yeah, you worked for a suburban department. Yeah. And we do more work than the humps who are just with NYPD or CPD or LA County Sheriff from start to finish. Suburban cops are the ones who show up on scene, do the investigation, put the cuffs on, all the paperwork, the fingerprinting, the transporter, you name it. They're doing it from start to finish. So that just blows me away. Apparently, this is the legend Corporal Damiano. He's Italian, so shit. There's that. I got a couple, like 15 seconds worth of clips from him, and then I'll look at your comments here. I was gonna play this for you guys.
Give me no attitude. Yeah. Yeah, all right. Keep your mouth shut. You tell us what you did.
26,
Make me break my leg over this fence for nothing.
Whoa.
Whoa, whoa.
Dude, I swear to God.
A dude again. I look like a dude to you? Ow, ow, ow. Ow, ow. Oh.
This one is very unpopular among current police officers and the bootlickers out there. This is not law enforcement. This guy's not a legend. He's a fucking tool. And understand something, I was a fucking tool as well too. I thought that that badge and that uniform gave me the right to talk to anybody however the fuck I wanted to, and it was my say on the streets. This is not law enforcement. This is fucking policing for fucking popularity and thinking you're the man and taking your shit out from maybe your miserable wife or your fucking boss. You're taking it out on other people. That's all this is. If cops are supposed to hold themselves to a higher standards, it doesn't mean by talking to other people like a piece of shit and using them as a stepping stone to get that way. This is not law enforcement. All right, so when I did that video, I have to give a caveat. I did all the shit that these guys are doing that I just don't like right now, and call it maturity. I matured over the years. I became a cop at 26 years old. I came out of the nightclub industry, 4 a.m. bars, and I didn't have a chip on my shoulder, but I wasn't exactly mature and I wasn't immature. And you bet your ass, man, I said this shit like, yeah, keep your mouth shut. I talk all the time. One of the biggest things I talk about is getting educated in a use of force instructor school where the instructor said, show of hands, how many of you have ever said, hey, shut your mouth, you're about to go to jail. And every one of us, because it's the greatest threat out there, people, they shut up, man. It just works every single time, unless you're Chili DeCastro. And I'm going to say something. Think about this for a second. Picture this. I got a new idea for somebody who's brave enough for social media, because I'm not going to fucking do this. Chili DeCastro, for those who don't know him, he's a failed actor. He's a professional agitator who markets himself as a constitutional scholar. He goes out, harasses police officers to get them to break, to unlawfully arrest him so he could sue and make money. Is there validity? Is there good in what Chili does? To a degree, absolutely. Is there good in what First Amendment auditors do? Yes. If they truly cared, and this is, I have not seen one do this yet. If First Amendment auditors truly gave a shit about improving law enforcement, they would document what they see with their professional journalism credentials that they say they have, record it, put it up online, and then also go to the department, go before the village hall, the mayor, the chiefs, and say, hey, listen, this is what I got. How can I help you guys work on this and train your cops better? But they're not like that. They're just YouTube click whores. And when all their shit is just professional agitation, they're just cunts. They're little crybaby cunts is what they are. And Chili is literally the crybaby of them all. He cried in court when he had his sentence passed. This is my idea. And I'll give credit to anybody who does this and say, you know what? You are more than welcome to use this. Professional agitators, First Amendment auditors, who are doing their job with the phone, right? They got their phone. I can video. And then a First Amendment auditor there who is the same absolute tactics and techniques. Oh, I can record you a foot away from the First Amendment auditor, uses the same verbiage. You dunce cap. You can't say shit to me. Don't touch me. Don't do this. I'm going to sue. It's blah, blah, blah versus blah, blah, blah. And you can't touch it. You dunce cap. I'll do all that shit. And then when the First Amendment auditor loses their minds and they push, shove, whatever, and there's a fight ensues, I want to see the cops go, yeah, no, we're not going to do anything about it. That's my idea for a brand new YouTube channel. Somebody needs to come up with that. I want to look at some of your comments on the video I just did, because here's a point. Yes, no question. When it came down to having what I said go on the streets, I did it all the time, man. You did. The number one thing, if we're going to change the culture of law enforcement, you have to acknowledge the concept that power is addictive. Holy shit, dude. That little piece of tin that's on your breast, or it's in your back pocket on your day off, it's like, dude, I'm 5'7". I was 6'5" when I had that fucking thing in my back pocket, because you knew, well, you're going to get pulled over for speeding. You're not going to get a ticket. I don't know how many cops out there fucking abuse, a lot of them. So the worst offenders of drunk driving laws and the biggest hypocrites out there are cops. Cops. When I worked at a bar, you saw them drink all the time, and every fucking one of them was carrying. Every one of them. There were more fights started by cops, more drunk driving by cops. They all knew they were going to get away with it. The last DUI I wrote was a cop. So, I mean, I have no tolerance for two people that I think are the most useless, miserable people on the planet are drunk drivers and people who have their dogs outside in public without leashes. And both of you should live on Mars. You did, right? It's an addictive power that needs to be embraced, that needs to be accepted, needs to be understood. And then you have to start talking about that not everything is personal, right? Not everything's personal. One of the things that people liked with the entertainment factor of how Damiano talks to people, and again, I'm going to play this so you can hear how he sounds.
Give me no attitude. Yeah. Yeah, all right. Keep your mouth shut. You tell us what you did.
26,
Make me break my leg over this fence for nothing.
Whoa.
Whoa, whoa.
Never mind the fact that he's a Miranda violation right here. Last time I checked, the formula for Miranda is custody plus questioning equals Miranda rights. I highly doubt that he read a Miranda rights during this. Guy's clearly in handcuffs. He knows he's not free to leave, and he's being asked questions that are not, what's your address, what's your name and date of birth. That's all you can ask. When you start asking, you tell us what you did. Well, now you're making a statement. So no, maybe I'll correct myself on that. He wasn't asking questions, but he was prompting statements, and then maybe that could have been spontaneous utterances. But if I'm a defense attorney, I'm saying no. My client clearly was not Miranda's Miranda rights, and there was questioning going on here. But let's continue.
Oh,
Dude, I swear to God.
a dude again. I look like a dude to you?
Well, that was a question. But one of the arguments that people have is, listen, this is the type of policing that needs to be done. I fucking disagree. I disagree. Were there times that I played parent on the street? 100%. It was 2004. I'm driving down the street, day shift, and this little fucking 8-year-old sits there and he says, "Hi, princess," as I drive past. Like, what the fuck? I drove back. I backed up my car, looked at him, yelled at him to come over. I yelled at him, who are you talking to? Does your mom and dad know you talking? And he starts crying, this and that shit. That was the end of that, right? I had to stop a kid, a little shithead, back in this the same year. His name was Grady. Grady was going around saying that he was going to kill me when he saw me on the street. He was 11 years old, black kid, all this stuff, problem child, even 11, 12 years old. And I remember finding him one day, snatching him up, because you're going to kill me? He's playing tough guy. So I put him in the back of this car, bring him home, knock on the door. Mrs. Grady's mom opens up the door. I said, so your son is going around saying that he's planning on shooting and killing a police officer. Do you have anything you want to say about that? She looks right at me. She goes, what'd you do to him? This kid's fucking hopeless. There's a lot when it comes down to that type of community policing, right? I do not know if I see the value in it anymore. I don't. I worked in a shitty area. It's a impoverished area. It sucks. 60% Hispanic. The black community that came to our area was chased out by either Chicago or Milwaukee. They came up to our area, and then if you're white, you were rooted in there from the 1940s and hillbilly, and you didn't have your teeth. And there was a running joke that the toothbrush was invented in our town because if it was anywhere else, it would be called a teeth brush. It's those factors that I started to look at and started to change the way that I was a cop, because my mindset was exactly what I just said. Well, if you're black, you're clearly an element that was chased out from another city. If you're Hispanic, there's a lot of illegals up in our area, and they're the ones who are the hard workers. I've said this many times on podcasts. I have a massive, massive soft spot for the Hispanic community. It's their shithead kids that they have here. I truly think that if you want to solve the problem with the Hispanic community, you give a citizenship to those who have the 2 or 3 jobs that they do, and you deport their shithead anchor baby kids that they had here in this country. They are the problem. They've always been the fucking problems. They disrespect their parents. They're the ones who get involved in criminal activity. It's the hardworking parents that are not the issue whatsoever. But I digress. And then look at what I just talked about, the white community. Hillbillies, white trash, all this shit. I won't lie about the type of people. We did not have the affluent, rich neighborhood. I didn't work for a town like that. I knew cops like that. They were like, man, what's it like not having to call your sergeant before you put somebody in handcuffs? I had to go to 123 Main Street last week, and she was on vacation. I had to bring her garbage down to the curb. It's like, no, we don't do that fucking job work. We arrest people daily, and it's because crime is active. When I started to sit there and try to find the balance of, you're not better than these people. Last time I checked, I wipe my ass the same way they do. I just get a higher paycheck that is taken care of out of the taxes they pay for the city. I am their fucking servant, but I'm not their doormat. So I had to balance. I didn't like the way that I was looking at the community. I was, these are fucking scumbag people. And for the most part, if you're dealing with 5% of the culture, whatever, 5% of the community, they're going to be assholes. They're going to be shitheads. Then they're going to be people who, especially when you're in that impoverished mindset, they don't have anything to fucking lose. You're going to send them to court again. And I'll talk a lot about quotas. They do exist. They're called performance evaluations. And actually, that's when I started to change in law enforcement, when I started to see that we worked in a town where there was no sidewalks. There's no sidewalks in our town. It was a town that was built in the 1930s and 40s that was just a summer. It was a summer home area that was in cornfields. And then in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they started to build up homes up there. And it just was not as progressive as other areas. So it was nothing to have a drunk pedestrian fucking 7 days of the week and twice on Sunday. Because when you're a poor neighborhood and you don't have a job and you live in a 2-bedroom, 800 square foot home with 4 people and there's no central air and there's 1 window unit, what is there to do outside of drink and get out of everybody's hair? And then you're going to go walk to the liquor store. There's no sidewalks. So you got to walk in the street and then I need my 3 points tonight. So I'm going to see somebody walking on the street. I'm going to stop them, street contact. I'm going to pat them down for officer safety. If they're a gang member, yes, I will tell you this, and I don't know the constitutionality of this, we would take their photograph. If they were a known gang member to us, we would take their photograph and we would say, punch a number for gang contact. You have to write a report because that's 4 points now for the gang contact as well, too, because you got to get about 2,800, but 20 points. You have to average 20 points, 28 points a night by the quarter is up, right? So you just compile the points. And if it's a gang member, now you have more articulable ability to say, hey, I know this person's had brass knuckles on them. I know they've had a knife on them. I can pat them down for officer safety. I can't search in their pockets, but maybe you're hoping to get a bag of weed out of it. But wait a second. A bag of weed doesn't really fall in the aspects of a search. Well, it does if you're an experienced police officer like I am that can sit there and articulate that when I crushed the outer material of this person's short pants or jeans, I felt a crinkly-like substance that I have experience and training to know that is cannabis. It's a bunch of bullshit, right? And how can they avoid contact with you when they're not able to walk out of the fucking way, right? And you write them for, I don't remember what it was, 625 ILCS 1101 or something, pedestrian in the roadway. I don't fucking know. So you got a state charge. If you had something on them, send them to fucking state court. Or you gave them a village ordinance ticket where they're paying $75 that they don't have. And if you do this 3-4 times a fucking month and you keep dinging somebody who has no fucking money, and you're constantly giving them not a state charge, but it's a village ordinance ticket, it's a $75 fine they don't fucking have. Do you not think that the relationship between the police and the public is going to be harassment? Because your command staff implements a performance evaluation policy because they've got a guy on they don't like because he doesn't knock down as many cars as, the chief wants him to. Because he's not writing as many DUIs as Dominick is on midnights. And, he's just collecting a check because he's got 25 plus years of experience on, but they can't chase him out. Because if they chase him out, he's going to sue for discrimination of age, and they can't chase him out because he's also in the union and he hasn't done anything. So we got to create a policy. Let's create a fitness policy, which is you can't enforce, which is ridiculous. They should. And let's create a performance evaluation policy. This way, when he doesn't live up to the shit that he's doing, we can say, hey, all right, you like midnights, you bid for midnights. We're going to put you on days so we can supervise you. And when you're not living up on days, if you don't improve your performance that quarter, now we can look at disciplinary action, like firing you. It is, the citizen pays because command staff has a fucking hard-on for power worse than cops do. And I really wish that the public would understand this. I really wish the public would understand that the street cops' pressure comes from the cocksuckers who wear brass. It's really simple. And people don't get it. People don't get it. Every girl I've dated when I was a cop, it was always like, they would look at me and go, why are you so pissed? It's like, well, shit, because I stopped writing DUIs and creating revenue for the city. It's like I was on a DUI kick for 9 months. I write 40 DUIs. I was on three shifts on, 3 on, 1 off, 12-hour shifts. So that's a lot of DUIs. It's almost one a night for, not one a night. There was many a night. And I stopped. I'm like, I want to start focusing on something else. If a DUI comes across my path, I will do that. But wait a second, because I asked to go to day shift, they took me out of the brand new 2015 Tahoe and they put me in the fucking 2010 Impala that has no AC, and when summertime comes, I'll be fucked. It's punishment. It's all punishment. People don't get it. They don't get the command staff changes once they get those stars, bars, clovers, fucking lapel pins, all this shit, and then they pressure the cop. And what does the cop do? The cop turns into a jagoff, and the only person they could take it out on is the weakest link that has no authority over them, which is a citizen. Because citizens don't know their rights and shit. So circling back on this, when it comes down to how Damiano's talking to people, that's a guy who fucking his wife can't stand him at home, right? He goes home and his wife wears the pants, or maybe he's fucking, he's dating the 19-year-old stripper who fucking is blowing him off, and he's taking out his frustrations on the citizen, and it feels fucking good. When you look at somebody, you go, shut the fuck up or you're going in cuffs. Oh my God, does that fucking feel good? It's amazing. When you know, and here's the problem. I'll have to find it. There was a Southern Illinois cop who did something that tons of police officers did. I did a commentary on my long form for anybody who is who's interested in seeing. I'll pull this up, and I'm not going to play it, but I'll surmise what the video was. It was a Southern Illinois cop who actually got fired for this. He went to some kind of disturbance or domestic or whatever, and tells the kid, I'm not going to fight you, but we'll throw down. And he just beats the shit out of this fucking kid. And I think I got into a little pissing match with Amiri King, who's like, yeah, we need more cops to do this. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind, dude? The fact that this cop did this and he actually got away with it shows that we have a problem in law enforcement, because what happens? What happens? Where the fuck is this video at? I don't remember where this is at. Police. Oh, this is it. The video is called "Insane Cop Challenges Kid to a Fight and Loses Career," and it's long form. I do the whole breakdown of it, and he basically sits there and he tells him, I'm not gonna yeah, I'm not going to arrest you. And he goes and he kicks his kid's ass.
Where, yeah,
And then his partner shows up and goes, no, we're not arresting him. Dude, the problem is what if this kid was winning and he was punching the shit out of you and the partners pull up and they don't know the agreement that you just agreed to, and the cop walks up and puts a bullet right in his head. So that was one of the problems I had. Another problem I had was that it's a subconscious issue people have. They already know that if, let's just say for argument's sake, some fucking cop is off his gourd and he says, yeah, let's go to town here. The person already knows that even if he wins, 10 or 15 other gang members in blue are going to jump him, and that's it. So it's already a subconscious, I lost. There's no equality on the street. Guarantee that guy Damiano, if he was, and you'll notice this too, cops only pick on weaker fucking people. You'd never see it. And I gave him shit. Frank Sloop, he's a great fucking guy. I don't know the sheriff's department he's with. He does Fridays with Frank. Him and I have done podcasts together on Two Cops, One Donut with Sergeant Levine. I asked Frank about this. Frank reads people the Riot Act all the time, and people love it. I don't like it. I don't like it for two reasons. Number one, I don't watch a lot of Frank's content, so I don't know if he's ever done it to anybody bigger, stronger, taller, faster than him. I do not doubt that Frank can handle himself in any situation. He has the ability to be condescending and professional at the same time and actually make it a little endearing to where people enjoy it. They actually enjoyed getting read the fucking Riot Act. The problem is that it becomes the public expectation, one-sided, where the public's like, yeah, that's right. He meaning whoever they pull over, right? He deserves it. Until you run into a cop like that, then you're like, why the fuck are you talking to me that way? The other problem is Frank setting a standard to where other cops who do not have the age like Frank does, they're not as well trained and polished as Frank is, don't know the law like Frank does. Do they think that they could speak to somebody at the same level as Frank is? Frank is, he's got to be my age, around 50, right? So he can, and no insult if you're younger, Frank. He can. He has that maturity factor. He can speak to people, and most of the people he speaks to are of a certain age. He doesn't speak down to them, but he makes them feel like idiots, right? And in some ways, you should. I was always trained. If you read the Riot Act, you do not issue a citation. If you issue a citation, you don't read the Riot Act. It's one or the other. Frank is an exception. Again, I don't like what he does, but he does it in a way that it doesn't bother me. And I know it's a very, very contradictory statement, and it's a little bit hypocritical, but I'm just going to give him the okay for anybody else, because I did it. And I talked to people like they were shit. And don't forget, I came from the bar industry. I could talk to anybody. I came from retail, then the bar industry, then go into law enforcement. I was great. Fucking silver tongue, man. Could talk the pants off anybody. And the problem then is what am I doing this for? Am I truly serving by being a cocksucker to these people and talking like shit? And I know that a lot of people think that, well, they need this. People need this. No, they fucking don't, dude. It's not the job. And it isn't the job. And you cause more division when you treat people like shit. Ultimately, I have a problem with that. Like Officer Tommy Norman is a phenomenal example of how this could go wrong. If you do not know who Officer Tommy Norman is, I've never met him, never spoken to him. He's one of the original police personalities that was on social media. I like to think it was Officer Tommy Norman, Mike the Cop, Officer Daniels. I like to think I was in there. If you follow me back on the Facebook days, I had a very large social media account. I like to think that I was among them, but Tommy Norman is a different breed whatsoever. The man, here's the problem with somebody like Tommy Norman. He's the opposite. He is so disgustingly kind-hearted. He is offensively wonderful to the people that he works for. He's one of them, and it's a massive black community. And he is a saint of a human being. And I'm hoping to God, like, nothing ever comes out that he's actually a scumbag, because that'll ruin everything. I believe he is an angel fucking in a uniform. But what happened? And Tommy, because of the rapport he has put in with those people, I think Tommy has earned the right to look at somebody who's fucking up and going, the fuck is wrong with you? What are you doing this for? I think it would be a responsibility of him to mentor, to father, to crucify somebody verbally, especially if he knew who they were, right? I'm also not giving this Corporal Damiano any assistance, because I don't know his background. I'm just going off of the short 60-second video I saw of him. I worked with guys like that. I was like that. I was a piece of shit. I didn't like it. The problem I always said with somebody like Tommy Norman is, what happens on Tommy's days off, right? Tommy's a humanitarian. He does everything for the people out there, buys them food, buys them clothing, mentors them, educates them, spend time with them. He is community police personified. He is. I have no doubt that, God forbid, the cuffs need to go on or Tommy needs to pull the trigger. He's able to do that. His ability is second to none in community policing. The sad thing is, you can't make him the standard for community policing because of what he does. And the example I give is, when I did that knife disarm, and I disarmed somebody who had a knife, and I did not shoot them, and I disarmed them, grabbed their hair, bounced their head off the counter, all this shit. People said, bravo, that needs to be the standard for cops with knives. And I said, that is the stupidest, most irresponsible thing you do, because I got lucky, because I trained. I'm combatively trained. I'm a combatives expert, martial arts expert. I'm a fucking bad motherfucker. I know what I'm doing. And it just reacted. It just came out of nowhere because of training. You can't make that standard, because you'll set cops up for failure. Sadly, if all cops acted like Tommy Norman, you would have no cop that would be like the man. You'd write your mother a citation. Sometimes you need that. You need that. Tommy Norman, in my opinion, is far to one side of the balance of being a cop. You can't bring him out. You should never bring him out. He should be doing what he's doing till the day he's dead. He should be in a mass. I don't know what position he's in. But the problem is, let's just say I work with Tommy. I don't go to the district he's in. I'm not in the area he's in, but now it's his day off and I got to cover that area. And there's Joe Smith, who deals with Tommy every day. Tommy knows Joe inside and out, right? He knows what his first name is, what his seventh period class is in high school, what his girlfriend problems are, what he ate for lunch, everything. The kid does something that somebody else calls the police on. I respond, I don't know the kid. The kid's only interaction 5 days a week is somebody like Tommy Norman. Does the kid now expect a Officer Tommy Norman persona to show up? But instead, Officer Izzo shows up, and Officer Izzo is by the fucking book. Put your hands in the car. Put your hands behind your back. Spread them, all this stuff. Well, but Officer... And the kid starts to plea because he's only used to Tommy Norman type of energy. Hugs and father-like figure mentorship and this and that. But I tell him, put your fucking hands behind your back, and he doesn't, and he goes to plea and he moves. Well, that's a furtive movement. And then, I don't know this kid. I know nothing about him. I just know that a crime was committed, X, Y, and Z. He's a suspect. I have reasonable suspicion, a probable cause to stop him. And then all of a sudden, because he didn't obey my command, he goes to reach in his pocket to show me what he was just doing. And then I light him up because we didn't have that proper communication. So how do you do that? How do you solve the problem? This is why I have a problem with the Corporal Damiano. When you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail law enforcement, because then you are picking and choosing when you're going to be kind to somebody. Because I can guarantee you, Damiano's cock got hard when he did that type of shit, right? When you tell somebody, shut the fuck up, I'm not talking to you, don't call me dude. Do I look like a dude to you? Hey, I just had to hop over a fence for you, broke my fucking leg for you. It's like, it's tough guy shit, right? And it's for ratings for television. It's not how law enforcement is. And the fact that the public comment supports that shit just proves how brain dead you are. If you actually raised your kids the right fucking way, which we know that Department of Child Family Services, even your schools won't let you do it. Well, that's also who you voted in office or who you didn't vote in office, because you don't go to your village hall meetings. You don't know who your mayor is appointing police chief. You don't know what policies are. You don't know who's running for office for your park district. You don't know who's president of the teachers union. You know none of this shit. You send your kids to school. You raise them to be little bitches and bastards. They come out in the street to deal with the cops. And you want the police officers to be disciplinary, or you want the cops to actually give your kid a break. So you have to find a balance and a standard, and that's the problem that's in law enforcement. So I went from one end of the spectrum, hard ass, ego driven, 5'7", thinking I was 6'5". I could back up whatever I said. That's the other problem. And then it was, wait a second, dude. You have a very cushy life. You make an amazing paycheck. You have authority. It's still an addictive power to solve people's problems when they call 911. It's an addictive power to, it was a rush. Yeah, when I disarmed that guy with that knife, my hands were shaking. I had an adrenaline dump. I called a buddy of mine 10 minutes afterwards because I had to talk to him because he's a knife training expert. And I said, I have to talk to you about the experience I just had because I knew it would interest him, and it was something, and it was fucking awesome. I just disarmed a guy with a fucking knife. So there is that shit. There is that shit. The ego, the power, it's amazing. But the balance that comes into play for being a street cop is what needs to be focused on. I'll look at some of your comments here. Gotta scroll back up for a second here. Over on the comment, again, if you guys have something that you want to contribute, if you feel ballsy, I do have a phone open. You can text. You can also call 708-982-0974. If you have any content that you want me to review and contribute to this, email it. The email is ofcizzo@gmail.com. ofcizzo@gmail.com, or text it 708-982-0974. Let me see this. What's my opinion on Kim Potter? I don't think she should go to prison. This is CJ LaChapelle, by the way. Who's Kim? I'll look this up really quickly. Who's Kim Potter? Is it police relevant? Potter. Let me take a look. Ex-police officer who killed Dante Wright. I'll take a look at that in a second. I don't recall. Was this the traffic stop? The woman who sat there and she mistook a taser for a pistol? Is that her? Let me see really quickly here before I go back to this. Take a look at this video. New body camera footage. Dante Wright's girlfriend. I know police officer. She's in the possession car. Let me see this really quickly.
Turn now to the trial of former Minnesota police officer Kim Potter in the death of Dante Wright. The former officer claims she mistook her gun for her taser, and tonight here are the graphic new images.
Fucking 100%. I did content on this before. How the fuck do you how do you confuse your taser for a fucking pistol? It is standard. Oh God, yeah. Let me play this, see if they do anything before I go off on this.
Police video showing what happened seconds after Officer Potter fired that shot. His girlfriend sobbing on the stand today, describing how she tried to save him. Here's ABC's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, for the first time, we see the moments after Dante Wright was shot by former police officer Kim Potter when his car takes off, crashing head-on into another vehicle.
Get out of the car so we can help him!
This new body camera video showing the chaotic aftermath.
Who else is in the car? Huh? No.
Elena Albrecht Payton, who was in the car with Wright, injured and sobbing. The 20-year-old who had recently started dating Wright taking the stand today, describing those harrowing moments.
I just remember hearing the boom, the bang of the gun.
Albrecht Payton saying she tried to save Wright's life.
I took my belt off and I grabbed whatever was in the car, put it on his chest. You see in movies and TV shows. I didn't know what to do, so I just put my hands over his chest and I just tried to hold it.
Even even taking a video call from Wright's mother, who was desperately trying to reach him after being disconnected.
No, I was just delirious. I was just screaming like this.
Yeah, the video's on there. I don't know if they show it in here, but I don't get it. How you mistake. I grabbed. Oh, this is what she fucking says. Oh, I gotta see this now. Let's back this up for a second. Oh shit. Yeah, this is just fucked up.
During that traffic stop in April, Potter, a 26-year veteran of the force, says she mistook her handgun for a taser after Wright struggled to get away from another officer trying to arrest him for a misdemeanor warrant.
I grabbed the wrong gun! I shot him! Oh my God!
Yeah, women shouldn't be fucking cops. You just shouldn't be cops. I don't know what her problem is, but she had a yellow taser on from what I saw. We had the X26 tasers, and I carried the black one. I used to have it cross draw on my left side because I was right-handed, excuse me. So I had a pistol on a drop holster on my leg. You cannot mistake it. There's no excuse. I just don't understand that whatsoever. And the thing about murder is you have to prove intent. Maybe that, and I don't know the issues about her court case, what she was sentenced for. Could be negligent homicide. Negligent firearm is ridiculous. It's true. How the hell do you mistake your taser for your pistol? Bad training? And then how do we accept that? And here's the problem I have too, because I remember this clearly. You have shithead bootlickers in the comment section will play stupid games, win stupid prizes, talking about the kid who died. This is the problem I have with law enforcement. If you go through the academy like I did, and the phrase that was just hung over your head forever, you hold yourself to a higher standard. If you hold yourself to a higher standard, you can't lower yourself down to the standard of, oh, well, the citizen played a stupid game, so they won a stupid fucking prize. You know what? It is my deepest wish that everybody who uses that comment runs into a shitty fucking cop who had a bad day, who's power hungry. I want you to have your teeth spewed all over the pavement after he or she bounces your head off the fucking squad car, because you need to bear apparently a dosage of what it's like to deal with those people who are dishing out the awards for the games that they play. This is a training aspect too. We've been saying this for decades. Well, cops need better training. At what point are you going to train them better? At what point? I don't know. I say all the time, I left my department 2019. They hired 3 new people out of the academy. I have the picture. They look like children. They didn't have enough cops in the street, so they released each one of these infants on patrol by themselves 6 weeks into field training. How the fuck do you lawfully do that? How do you do that? If you know my police chief in the story, the first town he was a cop at, it's a beautiful article. He was featured in the Daily Herald in Illinois, 1997, that flat out says, he was given a gun and a map of the town and said, hey, if you got any problems, call friends of yours who are cops and ask them what it was. That was his training. We have a problem in law enforcement massively. So, yeah, I think that I do. The other problem is this, sadly. She has to be the example. There has to be examples made. If we are going to sit there and do the whole, well, the public shouldn't fucking act up, I don't know where that's in the Constitution. I don't know where it is. If you want job security, there's going to need to be criminal shitheads on the street. Doesn't mean you play on their fucking level. It's pretty simple. You get to go home at the end of the shift. You get an exorbitant amount of money, overtime, holiday pay, all this shit. You get to carry a badge and a gun, take away people's freedoms, act all cool and this and that kind of shit, whatever. You should be at the highest standard possible on a daily fucking basis. You should be doing dry pulls and go, taser, taser. Classical conditioning, my taser's on my left, taser's on my left. Do it 1,000 fucking times until it's subconsciously brought in your head. I don't get this. Sadly, her example of going to prison for, she's a human being and she mistook a taser. If you carry a pistol and you are granted authorized to take away people's freedoms and or life if lawfully necessary, you have zero room to fucking say, well, I was a human. I made a mistake. No, you don't get that, especially in circumstances like that. There is no justifiable, and I'll say this, maybe it's because she's female. She cannot handle pressure that way. Maybe it's female, and most of the female cops I knew had egos the size of fucking Texas and thought they were the tough shit. I don't know what it is, but clearly you could see afterwards, she's like, oh, fuck shit, I just whatever. She needs to be the example so more cops out there go, damn, I better make sure I never mistake my fucking pistol for my taser. Andy Kruger says, you're proving the narrative that all cops are bad. Your mother's bad. Go fuck yourself. Frank is on the Brady list. He was caught destroying public records. I know nothing about that. Nothing at all. And I can't comment on that one. Miter999 loves my honesty. I try, dude. David Farrell, you and Matt Thornton from Zion PD are awesome and on point. I've never, ever met Matt. I sent him a message a while ago because we were both in the same area. We weren't that far from each other. I was in Round Lake Park and he's in Zion. They're minutes away. We never knew each other. We never ran into each other at court that I know of. I never had a class with Matt. So he was literally probably 15, 20 minutes away from where I worked as a cop, and we never knew each other. So there's that as well on that. Let me look. I know I'm getting a little bit, high, mighty, all that shit, blah, blah, blah. But let's, I want to go back and I want to look at some of the comments that if there are any that I can kind of justify and defend when it comes down to the legend, Matt Damiano, and the standards of policing. It's just ridiculous. Piper 6664 says this man is the reason the term, quote, to be a cop, you must have larceny in your heart and a bully's attitude and a sadistic soul was made. I've never heard that before. Never heard that before. Yeah, keep your mouth shut equals First Amendment violation if he enforced it. If the guy who is seized can talk all he wants. And if you're a cop, you're stupid to not let somebody talk. You want those spontaneous utterances, right? If he had said, shut the fuck up, and then said you're under arrest, now it doesn't matter if he finds a fucking AK-47, C4, and all of Peru, Bolivia, wherever cocaine comes from in the back of the trunk. It's he's going to be accused of arresting him for violating his First Amendment. And yeah, there you go. Drew B5738 says very few men can wear a badge and not become corrupt and evil. That's why we need limitations with the government. It's addicting, man. It's addicting, and it sucks. And I did. I had that power hungry shit. Jeff_AZ question: why don't bad cops get fired? Like the normal work of employment, the answer is unions. I disagree with that. Shit, do I have this video? I actually answered this question, and let me see if it's here, because I doubled up on some things. Why bad cops don't get fired. I know I have the video. See, a lot of you guys don't know about my long-form content. I do a lot. Oh, yeah. Here, I'll play this. This was my explanation and justification on why bad cops do not get fired. And hopefully this will answer some questions for you. As the spinning hamster wheel just goes and goes and goes. What the fuck?
So let's get this one out of the way because this one irritated the hell out of me today. I saw online today this meme, this cartoon drawing of two cops, one holding a baton coming in a downward strike, and a black man in handcuffs shielding himself from the strike. His hands were cuffed, he was in front of him, and then another cop behind him grabbing the baton. And the meme was something to the effect of, when good cops turn the bad ones in, this stuff will stop and all this crap. And it's something I get a lot. I get a lot of people who wind up putting in comments, you know, Officer Izzo, if you're such a good cop, you'll turn in the bad ones. Let me explain this to you as simply as I possibly can off the bat. Number one, thanks to the brainwashing of the media, you are led to believe, you drink the Kool-Aid blindly, and you are led to believe that there is this swarm of bad police officers out there. When the percentage is so fractionally minute, it's probably unchartable.
Now, let me, before I continue, you have to understand something. My views have changed. My views have absolutely changed. This was 2015. This is almost 10 years ago. I still got dark in my goatee. My views have changed. The fact that almost 10 years later, we are still having the same exact fucking problems with law enforcement proves that we have an epidemic of cancerous police in amongst us. So my views have evolved. They really have. It's just funny to hear how I thought back then.
But it's becoming doctrine, almost to the fact of like it's religion, to where the generations now are growing up to believe that the police are bad, and that's ingrained in them. And the daily proof that we see as police officers, now especially in the black community, is all it takes is for you to drive past a black male under the age of 10, wave to him, and watch his response to you. Watch how he will ignore you, or he will brush you off, or sometimes it's heartbreaking to hear him say, what did I do? And get all afraid. And when you go and ask him why he's afraid, he'll flat out say, because y'all kill people. Y'all kill black people. And thanks to the media, this is now a reality of our culture of the police and citizens. But I digress. The irritation lies in the fact that people think that there are cops who do not turn in bad cops. I'll explain to you.
Little would I know that a mere months after I filmed this video, I would turn in my police chief for the corruption that was in his department, and it would cost me my career. If I could tell myself back then, don't do it, I wouldn't. I would say, fucking do it 10 times harder and make their lives even more hell. Let's continue.
That's not the case. It is extremely difficult to get past the command staff or even to the command staff to let them know about people who should not be police officers.
Oh, God.
I attended an FTO, a field training officer class, not too long ago to become a field training officer. And one of the questions that was shared by all 30-something of us in that class is, how do we bounce people out of the program who need to be bounced out of the program?
You have no idea how many people should not pass the program. Now, keep in mind, like I say this, my sister got her license to cut hair. She had to go to class 5 days a week, 8 hours a day for 11 months. I went to the academy for 3 months, 5 days a week, was on FTO for 3 months, and then during that time was on probation for 18 months. So really think about it, I only had 6 months of training, right? Hair cutting, 11 months, license that you have to renew. Certification for police officer, 6 months training you don't have to renew, right? Well, the last department I was on, we had a guy, and we kept saying, Sarge, or we had commanders, chief, this DC, he should not be a cop. He doesn't have that killer instinct. I'm not talking about killer as far as kill people. He just doesn't have that authoritative nature. He cannot fucking deal with people when they resist. He's just this and that. And I wrote, and so did, as a defensive tactics instructor, I wrote that he was unsafe. He will find himself on a YouTube feature, whatever, this and that stuff. The commander wrote he should not pass this. We were told, extend his training. Because they spend so much fucking money on him. Fucking, you can't, they don't listen. Command staff doesn't listen to shit. They don't care about what their officers have to say to evaluate.
Plain and simply, what happens when you get somebody who graduates the academy, who gets hired, went through that whole interview process, interviews well, the department is...
Oh, come on. What is with this?
Spent thousands of dollars on them, but now the department doesn't want to hear this person is not qualified to patrol our streets. You know what? I've said this before, and I hold strong to it. A majority of the time, with exceptions to the rule,
See if I'll turn the quality.
command staff seems to forget where they came from, and command staff has an ideological way of policing where they try to keep their jobs instead of trying to do their jobs.
I can't believe I fucking said this while I was still employed. Holy shit. I was a problem maker. I went from golden boy to fucking #1 target on his back. And that was right around this time. Yeah, this was 2015. I'm in short sleeves there. So this was clearly summertime. November 19th was my last day. It's 2016, not 2015, it's 2016. And November 19th. So anyways, I can't believe I fucking said that. Holy shit.
In the chief's department, because a chief is an appointed position, the buck stops at the chief's desk, and the chief doesn't have to be a cop. The chief could have been anyone. There are people I know who have not been cops who've been appointed chiefs of police. And it's their job to report to the mayor, the village president, the village attorney, the village manager, the city council, whatever you have, their role as police chiefs. And if a police chief is very charismatic and is a good damn salesman, they're going to keep their job. But you know what? When you do write a memo, or you do go to a command staff or a sergeant or chain of command, and you flat out say, listen, this person is not qualified to be the police in our town, you violate policy sometimes, because there's some departments that have harassment policies that say you can't criticize other people, because we're all snowflakes now, aren't we? And I'll tell you this too, when you point out the shortcomings of another officer, you get a target on your back that's bigger than
I was
pretty impressive.
I knew it was the end.
Look, I'm not a perfect cop. As a matter of fact, I'm lazy at times. I don't police to my greatest potential at times, and I'll admit that. I'm definitely not command staff material. I'm patrol officer material, period. But when you point the finger and say that the cops don't call out their own, that's a load of crap. And any officer will tell you that they have had personal words with the individual officers. They've written memos. They've been frustrated. We tell people in our department when someone should not be on the street. But a lot of times our voice isn't even heard. So that meme was insulting, and it was ridiculous, and it was inaccurate. I think it's your job as citizens to start getting much more involved in your police departments and who you appoint on your village boards, who you appoint in that police department, who's promoted, who's on the police fire commission. Get to know your patrol officers, get to know the top and the bottom and everywhere in between. This is your fault as a community for not understanding what we do, and it's our fault as officers for not pulling you in and educating you with what we do. If we want to change, we all got to do this together, and we're not. So let's get our head out of our rear ends and do it.
Yeah, I was such an idealist. It was ridiculous. I do remember the day that I let everybody know on social media what was going on with me. Apparently, they had to take the phones off the hook at the police department because dispatch and records was being blown up about people fucking telling the records, and everyone answered the phone. Why did you do that to Dominick, Officer Izzo? The unions are not the problem. I was the union president, and what happened to me. Right. And even arbitration was my bargaining chip that I had if the lawsuit did not go my favor. Thank God the lawsuit went in my favor. And I don't know if that would have been successful. It's not the unions, it's command staff. Command staff, they do not want to go back to the village hall and say, hey, you spent thousands and thousands of dollars sending somebody to the academy, and they're not qualified, this and that. They want obedient people as well, too. There's a reason why, just like the military. The military takes 18-year-old boys because if at 50 years old, if you told me, hey, go run up that hill, and we're going to give you a bazooka and 30 rounds, and you could take out about 20 people, but you may not come back. I'm going to go get a fucking drone. What do you do? We don't have drones today. But if you tell an 18-year-old, they're going to say, yeah, you're going to be memorialized. We're going to put a statue of you everywhere. We're going to name schools after you. I'm going to fucking do it. They don't think. They just want to be good boys who, get the pat in the back. Law enforcement does not like command staff, doesn't like people who think for themselves and actually discern. It's revenue generation. We'll get into that soon enough. And it's who could play the game the best with law enforcement. And sadly, the biggest thing I've experienced is that most cops who do attack me for shit, they haven't had the target on their back yet, because those who have, they have a different fucking tune, and it always is funny. It's always funny. Anybody who's going to watch this video, criticize me, insult me, who's, an anonymous YouTube or Instagram account, and they have some fake name and they're criticizing me because they're still in the job. They can't say shit. They're the same ones who slide in my DMs months, years later and say, hey, can I talk to you about what's going on? My command staff is, I'm suspended. Yeah, go fuck yourself, dude. Guys, enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. Thursdays, live, 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm just doing long form content on some of the Q&A. Sorry I didn't get all your questions here. Let me look at a couple more. I'm sorry. Ron Moore, it says, it takes a proper man to see new evidence and be willing to change their position, especially in public. Here you are putting your past self on blast. Maximum kudos, bro. What? It's what we do. I don't know why people don't do that. I leave everything that I do up. I very rarely ever delete shit that I posted because I want people to go, oh, you said this that time. Yeah, I could change my view. I think we should, as humans, evolve our view. LA driver sucks says, here in LA, the LAPD has completely dropped their packs since George Floyd. All LAPD motor officers have been pulled from traffic law enforcement. I saw my neighbor's brains on the road when he got hit by a speeding car illegally crossing over. We have idiots speeding 75 every day. Yeah, I know you're probably talking about. You're probably talking about the video I criticized about. What do you call it? Revenue generation. This is my view when it comes down to traffic citations and whatnot. The court is the one that enforces the behavior changing modification through punishment for the driver. The cops don't. Tell me the difference. And if you have a different viewpoint than me, that's fine. If I stop you and you're doing 75 and a 50, and I stop you and I go, hey, do me a favor. We have a lot of accidents around here. Can you keep it slow when you just drive through town? That's all I'm asking. And okay, yeah, officer, great. Does not matter if I write you a citation or don't write you a citation and leave you with that warning. I have zero control of your actions from that point on. The next day, the next week, nothing at all. Nothing at all. I still document that I pulled you over, right? The computer will still show that, but me writing you a citation is revenue generation. Me stopping you and say, hey, dude, you got a lead foot. Would you slow the fuck down, please? That's me addressing a problem. It's your choice whether or not you correct it. I don't believe in citations. I do not believe that citations do anything to dissuade or improve somebody's driving patterns and behavior from shitty behavior. I think it's pure revenue generation. Julianne Riaz, have you watched Shields of Shame YouTube channel? I have not. I'll have to check that out. Guys, appreciate you hanging out with me tonight. Got more coming for the channel. I appreciate all the new subscribers. We went from 1,300 subscribers 3 weeks ago to 25,000. Welcome. Let's get this to 2.5 million. Share. I'll do a shameless plug. If you want to know more about me and support what I'm doing, Before the Badge. This is my book. It's Before the Badge, everything you need to know before you become a cop. It's forwarded by Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Yes, I do know Sheriff Joe. I also know Sheriff Richard Mack. I've interviewed Bernard Carrick. I can't say I know him. But I texted him once and I said, congratulations on something, but that's, I don't think he remembers who I am. This is available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and wordsmatterpublishing.com. It's called Before the Badge, everything you need to know before you become a cop. If you truly want the insights of passion for law enforcement, I think it's a read that everybody should partake in. My goal is to get people, cops. I know everyone says humanizing the badge. No, you need to raise yourself the fuck up, dude. You cannot rely on being human. You need to humanize the people that you're working for. You need to remember that. Instead of us saying, well, they're just human, remember that Joe Shit the Ragman, even the guy who fucking murdered his wife and drowned his kids and whatever, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he's still a fucking human being. And something drove him to that. Something did. You didn't get there in time. You were called after the fact. The guy who shoplifts habitually all the time, humanize him. There's still something fucking wrong with him. It's not your fault that the state doesn't follow through with programs or jail time and shit like that, but you are still the first responder. Your job is to keep the peace and maintain order in a free society. It is not to correct behavior, and it is to rise above and be the fucking perfect example of a human being that is there for other human beings that call 911 for your service. Hope that makes sense, guys. I appreciate you being involved in this, and I will see you guys on the next video.